Alright, let's see. So you can see people recalling. This also includes enemies, which is kind of interesting. Not sure how I feel about that. I feel like there's zero reason it should show enemies, but they increased the AFK penalties in general, and then they also added the early game end in ARAM and Nitro. That one's good. Dodge penalties increased, AFK penalty increased. Declining the queue for a ranked match. You do lose points for that if you don't know that. Every time you don't accept a queue, you actually lose points. And if you do it enough, you'll get dodge penalty. Now you get one just for declining continuously. Uh, Rampage, okay. New ramp skin. New Muriel skin. Mommy! Gonna take a flight, if you will. Where's dark mode? They don't have dark mode anymore. I don't know why. Apocalyptic Narbash. These are all overprime skins. All three of these are overprime skins as far as I'm aware. I'm curious how they'll look in Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine 5, sorry. Overprime was on Unreal 4, and they always had that fucking blur. So I wonder what they'll actually look like a little bit higher fidelity. Muriel got the asset boost, of course. Farmer wasn't giving you extra damage to minions. Bug fixed. Bale, a little bit less HP, a little bit less armor, a little bit less mana. Also nerfed his damage across the board a little bit, just a little bit here and there, nothing too crazy. Just having less base power is really strong, like really effective. Other than that, I don't think it actually really matters that much. Like this, irrelevant because you're maxing it anyways. This kind of a big nerf, but I don't know if it'll make that much of a difference. This is nice, but I'm not sure it's enough. We'll see though. Maybe he won't be able to run you down level 1. Countess, less mana. Less mana cost on the Q, but you get more mana cost on the right click. Also does less damage to monsters. Surge on clears a little slower. Just stops you from spamming it basically as much as possible. Your first time out ever? I feel like that's not true. Yeah, you've been timed out before. When was the last time? You were timed out 4:27:25. Probably a wheel spin or something. Crunch, less HP, a little bit more mana, a little bit more scaling on his passive. Ultimate, a little bit lower cooldown, not too big of a change there. Eden, a little bit squishier, does a little bit less damage. It's still going to be OP. Yeah, still going to be really strong. Just slightly nerfed. Grux, a little bit squishier, especially in the early game. But he does get a lot more scaling on his right click, so if you want to go like full power, a little bit more effective. But I don't think it makes that big of a difference, honestly. Also, I don't know why they right here reduces his level 1 to 3 dominance. At what point is Grux dominating you level 1 to 3? He swings slow as fuck. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about here, I'm going to be honest. Last time we got paid, last time we got timed out, you got paid, you paid 2,500 channel points. That's rookie numbers. Grexin. Kalari, a little bit less damage on the passive. A little bit longer cooldown on the invis. Still OP. Crux are being a burr. I'm just saying we might have to bust out the Assassin Grux again. That's all I'm saying. Kira, a little bit lower cooldown on the Q, a little bit more scaling, and the ult, a little bit more scaling. Just some light taps. Mako, movement speed comes off a little bit faster when you hit him. And then heals a little bit more, but does a little bit less damage. And the projectile is like changed. It's more of like an actual grenade throw now, not like a weird like Gideon right click. It costs a little bit less HP late game to use. For the most part, I'm pretty sure this is a nerf, but it might be a little bit more consistent to actually throw, so that could technically be a buff because it'd be more consistent. But I don't know what that's actually like because I haven't used it, so hard to say. Mako Fly, buffing it for some reason. Just increasing the CC. And then the ult does a little bit less damage. And then the stun is based on the charge time, not just flat 1 second. Pretty boring patch notes, I think, for the most part. We'll keep going though. Morigesh, basic attack timer changed. Her passive does more damage to camps. Jungle Morigesh. Somebody call Greg, dude. Somebody call Greg. Her Q 2 seconds off early game, add 5% more scaling. That's a huge buff. She might actually be playable. She also heal a little bit more off minions. Yeah, she might actually be playable. Ult also increased slightly. Don't tell me I gotta play fucking Morigesh next patch, dude. Muriel, a little bit extra damage on the Q. And the slow change reverter. I'm pretty sure it used to be 35 to 55, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty sure this is just a reversion on the second part. I don't think this changes how good she is at all. I don't think that matters at all. Irrelevant change. Darbash, the attack speed augment increased a lot. A little bit of extra damage on the ult. I think this augment's pretty good anyways, so just like a buff to it. Made it a little bit more competitive with the mana regen one. Crux swing slightly faster W. I don't think that makes any difference. Max health augment versus the mana augment for phase. A little bit more mana. A little bit less HP. Holy, I gotta drink some more of this Red Bull, dude. Holy shit. Out here yawning for no reason. Richter, a little bit of extra HP, a little bit of more attack speed when you level up, and then his 2 gets a lot more base damage and more max HP, bonus HP scaling. Honestly, gonna be pretty strong. Already kind of a decent pick. I don't know why they think this is like a buff strictly to jungle and offlane. This is also just like a straight buff to support as well. Um, might be back in a Richter meta. It is like a little bit of a tank meta right now. Should be a little bit more max meta, but her Q costs a little like 33% more mana. Gonna be a lot more mana dependent. Probably have to go mana item first every game. Not able to just go straight into like tainted in certain matchups. Not sure how that affects her. Shouldn't really matter in jungle that much because you get mana regen just for having hunt. Plus blue buff solo. You probably have to just go mana item. Here, Richter meta, your favorite champ is meta. Let's go. It might be, dude. He's about to be slamming you with this too. Steal a little bit of extra damage on the Q. A little bit extra physical power, so you can trade auto attacks. Significant buff to his jungle. Minor buff to his offlane. Um, Physical power matters more in jungle just for clearing minion or like jungle minions than in solo. So I think that's a pretty big buff to jungle. Not sure if it'll be playable though. Might still be too slow. You're a little bit less base movement speed. Cooldown on the Q nerfed by 1 second. I see they still refuse to nerf Ure the correct way. We'll just move on to items. Who else ups? Assessing they pred. What does that even mean, first off? Second off, I'm going to like to ignore that. Abyssal Dart, a little bit further, a little bit faster, slows longer, does a little bit more damage. Not sure it'll be that good to begin with, still. So kind of has that same problem of cleanse is just better. How's it looking so far? Happy mid or the usual? It's a big old 5 here, 5 there. Honestly, a little bit of a sad patch, I think, for me. Gravitum trades for magical damage to damage, which is a big buff. It does only get bonus physical power, not total though, which is kind of a nerf, but it has more base damage, and they're crippled longer. I don't know why they call it grounded. It should just be crippled because it stops dashes as well. Decent buff to Gravitum. Good in certain matchups. No new Opal store skins is criminal. Just say you have Opal to spend, and you're too broke to afford Platinum, Anthony. Typical British man. Void Gazer, more magical damage, slows increased. The slow duration is increased. The projectile speed is significantly increased. This could actually make it usable. Part of the problem with this item is it's just so fucking slow. It's hard to hit people because it's so slow, unless you're like right next to them. Also, a little bit more range, a little bit more width on the projectile, so it's a little easier to hit. Might be viable on certain characters, specifically like melee characters that don't go Tempest or the new item Stormbringer, I think it's called, something like that. Spirit Locket. This is a apparently a tier 1 item in the game. I didn't know this existed until literally 2 days ago. Um, it just gives you mana based on your missing mana. Kind of a actually just you never run out of mana building this. I didn't even know this item existed because it literally only goes into hexbound, and hexbound is an awful item. They added just flat mana to it. An actual good tier 1 item. Lucky Feather, 5 haste. Don't think it matters. Game is just too scrappy to really get value out of it. You get a little bit extra mana from the camp leaders, so you stack Alkrod and every other stacking item slightly more. All the anti-kill items go down to 850 gold. Stats reflect that slightly. I think Lockshall is significantly better now. Serrated, better. Not really too much of a difference. Hornplate doesn't matter at all. I don't think that change matters. Soul Chalice, same as Alkrod. You just get more stacks. Tier 2 Spell Slasher does slightly more damage. Spike Birch, this is a nerf to the Tier 2 Spike. You just get a lot less value for the gold. But you also get anti-heal earlier, so could offset it either way. But good item. You're getting all the titty skins, you got what you needed. So you got enough for the Muriel skin is what you're saying? Ruination, extra 5 power, going up to 60. I think this is the highest power item in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure Imperator is less. Let me check. Is it the highest power item now? Yeah, Imperator is 55, Terminus is 50. Yeah, it's the highest power item in the game now. Not sure it's good still, but you know, there's that. Scatter shot, less physical power. Just so you stop life stealing so much off the shots. Solaris, 5 extra damage just to reflect the spell slasher. Demon Edge, cheaper, does more damage to shields. Might actually be buildable. Demon Edge actually like okay compared to like Astral Cat. Dread. This is a reversion. This used to be 25% to begin with. Not sure this is better than Absolution in most situations, but it's an option. Envy cost decrease might be viable, might not be. Earthshaker, bug fix, it was getting less damage than it was intended to. Just makes the item feel better on the characters that you'd already built it on. Miss Meadow, more HP regen, don't think that matters at all. Solstice, extra armor, don't know why we're buffing Solstice. Item is pretty solid across the board. I don't know why we're buffing this item. Especially after we just nerfed it. Volcanica, 150 gold reduction, I don't think that matters. I think the item's just too mid after the nerf. Carapace, less damage, still going to be really good. Berserk Core, a little bit more max mana when you finish it. Don't think that matters at all. You get 2 extra power when you finish it. I don't think that matters at all. Astral Cat, extra 5% to shields. Don't think it matters because the damage still can't go over shields. My dog is crying for food right now. He's not being abused. I promise you, he is not being abused. He just wants food. He is waiting for his food. He's not being abused, I promise. I face Lucky Feather. You're building it every game now. Thanks, Amita. True. What do I think? I'll tell you after. Combustion, 5 less power. Don't think it matters. You give that dog his food right now. Dude, he's getting food. He needs like he's got a special diet because he's got a weak stomach. So he's got to get like a bunch of fucking supplements and shit. He just cries when you're putting it together. Claw of Hermes, a little bit cheaper, more base regen. Item still sucks. Gouging Greaves, a little bit of extra base damage. Actually might be like decent on like Kwong and stuff like that who can actually build it. If you don't know, you can double jump with this. Kwong ult while you're in the air, and then you land, and then you proc Gouging Greaves and the ult damage at the same time. No quicker way for people to think you're abusing your dog than write a song about it. Who is writing a song about what? Like them abusing their dog or them not abusing their dog? I'm confused. You always forget to jump when you even build it. Me too, that's why I don't build it. But you can do that. Magnify, cost decrease, great item. Oathkeeper, getting a 10 damage buff, probably because it's magical. It's just nice. I think it's good already. Orb of Growth, you get more stacks from jungle minions, so you stack it faster, and then you get more stacks when you stack it in off kills, so you can just stack it faster if you build it late game. Build it early game, you might get it slightly faster, but probably not notice too much of a difference. Worldbreaker. Health increased, so you get more power. Power conversion change from 5 to 6. Fiend stack duration increase, so you keep them longer. Fiend can now only stack once every 0.5 seconds. That seems like a massive nerf to me. Why did they do this? You can no longer instantly stack, which was frequently abused by specific mages. Maybe stop releasing mages that exclusively do dot damage. This is an actual insane nerf to Worldbreaker. Massive nerf. Actually, just basically removes this item from the game. Yeah, this is a terrible change, in my opinion. Wraith leggings, power decreased. Probably been needed for a long time. Cresselia, slightly more gold for the Spellblade change. Don't think that matters. Dawnstar, from 2% to 2.5%. So reduce auto attacks. It stacks 5 times, right? So you go from 10% to 15% reduction. I don't think that matters. The item still sucks. You still have to auto somebody 5 times. Hexbound Bracer, they're changing it. 275 HP, 300 mana, 8% heal and shield power added. Holy fuck. Ability haste decreased from 20 to 15. 100% base health regen removed. 45 armor removed. This item seems significantly better. Mana reactor now restores mana equal to 8% of damage taken when damaged by non-heroes. Does it still have the auto attack reduction? If it still has the auto attack reduction, this item is like insane. If it doesn't have the auto attack reduction, it's like okay, it's good, but it's not like amazing. If this still has the auto attack reduction though, this is actually like you're gonna build this every game on every single tank support every game. So no prots. Yeah, but you get 400 HP. 400 HP is way more effective than 45 armor early game. If this still has the auto attack reduction too, like I said, like this will be the best starting item in the game for tanks in support. Yeah, that's gonna be really good. I assume it still has that second passive because they don't mention it at all. So I think this is probably gonna be like you're gonna build this every game on every tank support. That's like an insane change. Catalytic drive deconstruct now executes small monsters. Uh, does that matter? I guess you can build it in jungle now. You can also probably stack faster in lane because you can like hit a lane minion, hit 3 camp, hit a lane minion, and kind of get like an extra stack. So you probably stack it faster. Okay, it makes it like more viable at least as like a second item. Not so much you have to build it first every game now. Auto attack reduction isn't that Frost Guard? That's attack speed reduction. Hexbound reduces a flat amount of damage per auto attack. So like if you get hit for 100, Hexbound will reduce it by like 10 flat. And that's before mitigation, I think, or after mitigation, I forget. But it's just like a flat, like you just take that much less. Elefron sector 5 damage, don't think that matters. Fist of Rizul only requires 4 stacks and does double damage to jungle monsters. Yeah, huge buff to Fist. Fist already a solid item, especially when you're playing like a physical tank in solo into like a magical tank. Because you can't really build a magical defense item first unless you go cybernetic. So Rizul, that's a pretty big buff. Inquisition, 5 extra damage makes sense. I mean, just matches all the other spell slasher items. Don't think that matters at all. Raiment of Renewal, 10% tenacity. I think you're still just building Fist of Riz over Raiment on every single character. Raiment's just too expensive for support, so it's 3k gold. It's just too expensive, especially when you're already going to give this item 400 HP. Where is it? That fuck, I already passed it. Hexbound, you're going to give this 400 HP. You have zero reason to ever build Raiment. More Sevarog buffs. These are just actual buffs to Sevarog items, now that I think about it. You are actually spitting. Rebirth, extra magical armor. Drone health increased slightly. A little bit more movement speed when you're in the drone. I don't think it matters. Yeah, item still's kind of mid. Bug fixes. They fixed a Revenant bug with the tank crest. Anything interesting here? They fixed minions getting stuck on a couple parts of the map.
Come, The party's this way.
Yeah, nothing important really. Yeah, actually, like 0 relevant bug fixes. This patch, what did I give the last patch? 3 out of 10. Honestly, this patch is like a 2 out of 10. It's just like the last patch in terms of balance and like changes. There's like a couple good ones. Like I like the Richter change. I like a couple of the item changes, but a lot of it's just like I think irrelevant. Um, I give this patch like a 2 out of 3, honestly. Hexbound makes it a 10 out of 10. Hexbound's like an actual real change. These are like whatever. I don't really care for these. I give it like a 2.5 out of 10, honestly. Not exactly a good patch. It's not like there's nothing in the patch, but there's also like literally nothing in the patch. You have like Hexbound change, like Bale nerfed a decent amount. That's pretty much it. Eda nerfed a decent amount. Mako like buff nerfed. Other than that, nothing really. There's like not really any swinging changes to the meta here, I think. Anti-heal reduction is actually like a good change. Like reducing the gold on anti-heal items, that's nice. As far as like actual items, Earthshaker bug's nice, but I don't think most of these matter at all. Oh, Worldbreaker being removed from the game, I feel like that's a negative. So I feel like that's against. And then we're buffing several items for no reason, and yeah. Yeah, I give that like a 2 out of 10. Like kind of a mid patch. All right, everybody say goodbye to YouTube.